way to realize that whatever's going on in there, coming and going, the babblings that's going on in your brain doesn't mean anything. It's not you. It's not necessarily fact. It's probably not fact. So you got to be sort of like discerning when paying attention to your thoughts and deciding which one you're going to give attention to and which ones you're going to give energy to. A lot of it's just garbage, and you just got to let it float through. Okay, and that in and of itself, if you feel like if the basketball game got really hot right now and you're done, if you got that one tip, that should help you, just to notice your thoughts and pay attention to which ones you're keeping and which ones you're not. Okay, so kind of along those lines, I want to talk to you guys about the difference between pain and suffering. I think that we can all agree that global pandemics suck, right? Pretty much none of us are living the life we really truly want to live right now. We've had to make sacrifices, and we've lost things at a variety of different levels. Some of it bigger than others, but all of us have had to struggle and deal with what's going on in the world. Okay. The pandemic is pain. It is what it is. Okay. It is pain, and we are having pain from this. Suffering, on the other hand, is when we try to fight against what really is, when we try to fight against reality, right? When we're banging our heads against the wall, when we're struggling with it, when there's nothing we can do about it. Like my slide here in the rain. Okay, it's raining is pain. Okay, it's reality, it happens. It's often not in our control. It's just what is. Suffering is what you do with it. Why does it always have to rain when I have plans? It should be sunny. I can't stand it when it rains. It can't be raining. It's the weekend. Okay. All of this mind garbage is just causing you suffering, right? It's causing you more stress. It's causing you distress at sometimes, and it's not necessary. Occasionally, pain is something we can't avoid. We can avoid suffering. And what you do is you just quit fighting against what is, right? That's another thing that can manage a lot of your stress, is when you learn to kind of like accept it. And then you can make plans from there. Okay, so this is what it is. How am I going to deal, right? That's something you can do. But when you just sit around like mentally fighting it, it's not going to get you anywhere, and it's just going to make you really, really miserable. All right. Okay, so how do we start paying attention to our inside world, our thoughts, our feelings, our bodies? Okay, this is where mindfulness comes into play. I am going to show you guys a video. So if something isn't working on the video, yell at me, because the last time I did this, it didn't work right away, and it took like a minute before somebody said something. So don't wait that long. All right, I think this is the right one. Okay, here we go.
You may have heard this word mindfulness. It's become something of a buzz phrase of late. So I'm going to give you one simple, serviceable definition, which is this. Mindfulness is the ability to know what's happening in your head at any given moment without getting carried away by it. Imagine how useful this could be. Just as an example, you're driving down the road and somebody cuts you off in traffic. How do you normally react? I think most of us, we normally react by having a thought, which is, I'm pissed. And then what happens next? You immediately, habitually, reflexively inhabit that thought. You actually become pissed. There's no buffer between the stimulus and your reaction. With just a little bit of mindfulness, in that same situation, you might notice my chest is buzzing, my ears are turning red, I'm having a starburst of self-righteous thoughts, I'm getting angry. But you don't necessarily have to act on it and chase that person down the road, screaming at them with your kids in the back of the car thinking you've gone nuts. Now, you might be thinking, don't I need to get angry sometimes? Aren't I justified? I would say yes, but probably not as much as you think. The proposition here is not that you should be rendered by mindfulness into some lifeless, non-judgmental blob. The proposition is that you should learn how to respond wisely to things that happen to you, rather than just reacting blindly. And that, my friends, is a superpower. How do you get it? The way to get it is through meditation. I believe that meditation and mindfulness are the next big public health revolution. In the 1940s, if you told somebody you were going running, they would have said, "Who's chasing you?" But then what happened next? The scientists swooped in, they showed that physical exercise is really good for you, and now all of us do it, and if we don't, we feel guilty about it. And that's where I think we're headed with mindfulness and meditation. It's going to join the pantheon of no-brainers like brushing your teeth, eating well, and taking the meds your doctor prescribes for you. Let me just close by saying, mindfulness is not going to solve all of your problems. It's not going to render your life a nonstop parade of unicorns and rainbows. Nonetheless, this is a superpower, and one that is accessible by you immediately.
Okay, so mindfulness is a gigantic tool. It's a great tool that can help with a lot of things. It helps with focus. It helps with memory. It improves your mental well-being, and of course, it can relieve stress. So it is a really good thing. Now, I know he touched on meditation, and I will get into that a little bit later, but mindfulness in and of itself, even without the other tool, right, can be very, very useful just to like really make an effort to be doing the thing you're doing, right? If you are washing the dishes, just wash the dishes. Pay attention to washing the dishes. You know, how the soap bubbles look, you know, in the light. You know, what's the temperature of the water feel like on your hands? You know, I mean, just like really pay attention. That is mindfulness, right? When you're brushing your teeth, brush your teeth. It's actually a really hard thing to do. When I spoke to the business classes this fall, one of the tasks I had them do was to try to have mindful teeth brushing for the week, just to like try not to think about anything except brushing your teeth when you brush your teeth. It is not easy. That's why it takes practice, okay? It takes practice, so don't get frustrated if you can't focus on it all that long. It's a muscle, all right? You have to practice. All right, so now let's talk a little bit about the stress that's coming from outside of you, all right? A lot of this are people stuff, I would say. Some of it's situational, but a whole lot of our stress comes from other human beings, right? So one of the major things that you guys need to remember when you're trying to manage outside stress is you need to set boundaries. This is very, very important. When we were working from home, especially, it was very, very important to set times for being off work. You can't just be on 24/7 and expect not to get burned out, expect not to feel like crap, expect not to be crabby, and expect not to be stressed. Okay, you need to be able to turn it off. And it's okay to set those boundaries. If you were working for a company that won't allow you to set those boundaries, that's something to think about. All right, if this is going to be good for you long term, because long term we need off. We need a time when we can turn our brains to fun things. Okay. The next thing, all of us have, what do we call it, problem people in our lives that keep coming back and back and back. Now, whether that's coworkers, clients, students, lots of different, a lot of different kind of people, right? Parents, employees, whatever. The ones that seem to be massive energy suckers. I don't know if you know what I mean by that, but it's like, it doesn't matter what you give, it's not enough. It doesn't make a dent in their hole of need. Okay. There are people like that all over the place. It is super important for our own well-being and our own longevity in our careers and our own mental health and our own physical health that we learn to set limits with them too. Some people think it's mean. I don't think it's mean. And you don't have to do it in a mean way. You know, somebody comes in and you're like, hey, it's good to see you. I've got about 15 minutes until I have to run to this next thing. Now, whether or not you have to run to a next thing, it doesn't matter. They don't know that. Okay, you're nice about it. You know, I'm so excited to talk to you. Is that going to be enough time, or do you want to set up something for later? You know, set up your boundaries. You own your time, right? You don't have to get sucked into that. All right. You can also say, oh, I'm just heading out now, but how about next Tuesday at 9? I'd love to talk to you and hear what you have to say. You know, it's still kind, it's still respectful, and you're still keeping yourself safe and you're protecting your mental health. Okay, so make sure you set those limits with people that would just keep take. Okay, you don't need to do that. There's ways around that. They don't know you don't have a meeting. Okay, you can just tell them that. The next thing is kind of what we talked about before. Keep in mind what you can control and what you can't control. Right? So if the thing that's stressing you out is something you absolutely have no control over, there's nothing you can do about it. There's not a thing you can do to make it better or change it. It's time to let it go. All right? That's not always easy, but that's part of not letting yourself suffer, right? Accepting what is, managing and making things as decent as you can with what you can in your own little sphere and letting it go. Holding on to what we can't control is the surefire way to stress you out and make you miserable. If you are in the kind of fields where you have to, or you get to, or you take on other people's problems, issues, concerns as your own, and most people do if you work with people at all, that's part of what you do, is to realize that you can have empathy for people, you can be there for people, without actually carrying the weight of their full life's trials on your back, okay? Most of the time when somebody's talking to you about a big personal issue, they're really not expecting you to have an answer. I know a lot of us feel like we should have an answer, like we should be able to fix it. We should have some way to make it better, but usually they know that there's nothing we can do. They just want to be heard. They just want to be heard, and they want somebody to say, "Oh man, that sucks. I'm so sorry you're having to go through that." That's something. So try not to take other people's problems on, because it doesn't really help them. It almost like doubles the weight. You're both walking around with the weight then, right? So sit with them, hear them, listen to them, express concern and empathy and tell them how awful it is. And that's something. Really, that's what most people want. So don't let other people's stress become your stress in that way too. Okay, stress relief strategies. A lot of these are things you've heard before because it's true. Okay, unplug from work and stressful content. I'm trying to think of what they're calling. It's like something scrolling. It's like something to do with reading all the bad stuff all the time. Being on social media right now is very triggering at times because of all the vitriol and negativity and just bad news and awfulness. And it's important to kind of set your own boundaries of what's a decent amount for you, what's going to be triggering to you, what's okay. When I first went home to work from home in March, I was insane about COVID-19. I was like checking the numbers. I can't even tell you how many times a day, 10 times a day. I mean, I was checking all the time to what the numbers for each area were. I was watching every update. I was watching the Department of Health, the governor. Paul Turnhagen became like, that's not even right, but the mayor of Sioux Falls, I was like a groupie, okay? I watched all of his. I don't live in Sioux Falls, but I watched all of his. I watched everybody. I was nuts. I had to cut myself off. I haven't quite completely cut myself off. I check once a day now. It's like my little treat, my little COVID hit. I check it at 11:30 every morning to see what the numbers are, but that's it. I don't let myself look again, right? You have to know what is good for you and what makes you feel good, being aware of that inside world and what's too much, and set some boundaries for that. For some people, that means not looking at upsetting and sad and things that make you angry for a chunk of time before you go to bed. It can help you sleep if you aren't looking at stuff that makes you miserable or upset. So keep that in mind. Get outside. We are in South Dakota. Our outside time is limited. For God's sakes, get outside every chance you get, okay? We're all gonna be freezing to death very soon. So it's just good for our mental health. The sun, nature, it's just good. So get outside. Exercise. Now, not all of us are P90X people, HIIT workout people. I certainly am not. That's not my thing, but anything. Going for a walk, anything to get our heart rate up a little bit and get our blood pumping, it does make you feel better. There's a reason people tell you that all the time. Sleep, capital, 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 capital. Nothing is okay if you're not sleeping. Nothing. Your mental health suffers, your physical health suffers, everything. Everybody's level of sleep is different, obviously, where you function the best. And that's, I'm not gonna, even though, they'll tell you what we should be getting, but what I'm saying, and I know it's not always possible, but what makes you feel good, and paying attention, get as much sleep as you can. Laugh every chance you get. Laugh actually is a good stress reliever. It can burn off some of that adrenaline that we're carrying around when we're upset, okay? Get a chance to laugh, talk to fun friends, watch stupid movies, I don't care, just whatever makes you laugh. I am not opposed to junk food, but get some nutrition. Everybody needs some vitamins and nutrients at some point. You will feel better if you eat some healthy food occasionally, just a true statement. Drink your water. We can really feel like crap when we're dehydrated. We don't recognize it's dehydration, and then you might be getting a headache and you feel kind of icky and sluggish, and you're like, geez, am I getting sick? And you drink a glass of water and you're like, oh, that's what it was. So make sure you're getting your water. Take time to play. If you have a pet, if you have kids or whatever, just go play. Lower your expectations for yourself and others. That's a big one. This is not normal times. All right. We are not in normal times. This is a once in a lifetime pandemic. None of us are at our tip top best. We're just not. And to expect ourselves or someone else to be is just, that's suffering. Okay. Because it's not going to happen. I want to show you this thing I found online. It's like Maslow's pyramid of our needs, right? Self-actualization is when we're just doing our very best. We're being our very best selves. We're just being awesome. We're on a roll. We're not here. We're here. We are looking for being safe, making sure everything's okay. That's where we are, right? So to expect people to act self-actualized when they're thinking about their safety, it isn't going to happen. So keep that in mind when you are dealing with difficult people who are failing and messing up and royally being a pain. There could be a lot going on in their life, even more than usual. I mean, that can always be true, but now it's sort of like a collective issue. We are all dealing with it in one way or another. So take it easy on yourself. Take it easy on your coworkers. Take it easy on your clients. Just take it easy on them, because none of us are at our best. Okay, last one is mindfulness and meditation. I have a few techniques I want to talk to you about, and then I'm going to show you a little video to try to sell you on meditation a little bit, just a short one, like 2.5 minutes or something. The first thing is called 4x4 breathing. People talk about taking a deep breath and relieving stress all the time, and that's because it's actually true. It's based on science. Diaphragm breathing stimulates the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve runs all the way up and down your body, and that tells your brain that you're safe and you're okay, and it helps you calm down. So 4x4 breathing is really simple, and I will just kind of talk you through it here. You don't have to do it or anything, just to give you an idea. The first thing you need to do is take a deep breath in for the count of 4. And then you hold it for 4. And then you let it back out for 4. And then you kind of hang out for 4. That's the 4x4 part, right? But you do that 4 times. It takes like 62 seconds or something. I think that was right. I figured it out once. I don't know. But, okay, it doesn't take long, and you will be really surprised at how much calmer you feel. It's something to give a try if you think of it. If you're feeling like you're getting worked up, right? It's really good for focus in anytime you have to do something important, a presentation, sports, anytime you're doing something that requires some focus. If you stop and do this 4x4 breathing exercise, it can make a huge difference on, you're feeling calm, you're feeling confident, you can get it done, right? Without being nervous. Body scan. Body scan is all about slowly and methodically going through, like paying attention to different parts of your body and to see what's going on with them. It's like a part of being aware of your inside, right? Your inside world, your body. How are my shoulders? Are they tense? What is you just kind of check yourself out. That's a body scan. It's actually a pretty relaxing thing to do right before you go to bed. A lot of times you won't even make it. If you start at the tip of your toes, which is usually where I start. It's like my big toes. I won't even make it to my head. I'll be asleep. Okay. So that's one kind of relaxing way. You just focus on, just for like 10 seconds, focus on each body part, you know, as you work your way up, you know, you don't have to do anything else. You just, you know, kind of just pay attention to it for 10 seconds and move on to the next one. And it can really help you get in touch with what's going on, and it can be really relaxing. Guided meditations are everywhere. YouTube has so many, I can't even tell you. You can get whatever length you want. You can do different, like for different reasons, guided meditation for relaxation, guided meditation for sleep, guided meditation to deal with anxiety. I mean, just so many things. All sorts of different people doing them, so you have different kinds of voices. Guided meditation is a good one for someone that's like thinking about meditation, but isn't really ready to dive all the way in. You know, once again, that's something you can do before bed. You can like lay down and put it on, and all you got to do is do what they say. So it's like a no-brainer. It's really easy. And so it's something to think about. Now, the next one, notice 3 breaths. This is a trick I use when it's one of those days when you're slammed and you're stressed and you're running all over the place and you don't have time to do anything, not even the 4x4 breathing. 62 seconds seems like too long at that point. 3 breaths. I used to work in a middle school, and on those days I would be in the copy room grabbing something off of the copy machine, and I would stop and I would pay attention to 3 breaths in and out, just nothing else. Just notice my breath going in, notice my breath going out, notice my breath going in, 3 of them. And that's all it would take. And I would my head would be clearer, you know, I would feel more centered, I would feel calmer, and then I would rush back out to the chaos. Okay, so it's a really quick way to get yourself back in the moment, be mindful, and, you know, and be at your best. Okay, so last, I'm gonna show you a little video on how to meditate. Like I said, it's only like 2 minutes long, 2 minutes of your life. Even if you think it's a terrible idea, it won't hurt. Okay, so this is by the same guy that did the first video. So he's funny. I like him a lot. He is really into meditation and mindfulness because he was a national news like war correspondent, and then he was like a news reporter, and he had an anxiety attack on national TV. And after that, he was trying to figure out, you know, what to do to make his life better, and he came across meditation, and now he's like so into it, and he's kind of, you know, he has an app and he has a web, he just has so much stuff because he's trying to get everybody on board to see how awesome it is because it works so good for him. Well, here it is. I'll let him tell you how to meditate.
Despite what you may have heard, meditation does not involve joining a group, paying any fees, wearing any special outfits, sitting in a funny position, or believing in anything in particular. It is simple, secular, scientifically validated exercise for your brain. You don't have to do it yet, but just so you know, here are the 3 steps. 1, sit with your back straight and your eyes closed. 2, notice the feeling of your breath coming in and going out. Pick a spot where it's most prominent. Usually that's your nose or your chest or your belly, and just focus your full attention on the feeling of your breath coming in and going out. Now, as soon as you try to do this, your mind's going to go nuts. You're going to start thinking about, what am I going to have for lunch? Why did I say that dumb thing to my boss? Your brain's going to go nuts, and that's fine. The whole game is to notice when you've gotten lost and to start over, and then to start over again, and again, and again. Every time you do that, it's like a bicep curl for your brain, and it shows up on the brain scan. Scientists have found this in the lab. It's also, by the way, a radical act. You're breaking a lifetime's habit of walking around in a fog of projection and rumination, and you're actually focusing on what's happening right now. Meditation is unlike anything you do in the rest of your life. Failure is actually success. As I said, the whole game is just trying, failing, starting again, failing, starting again. Here's my advice. You should be meditating every day, 5 to 10 minutes a day. That's it. This doesn't require some giant investment. I don't care how busy you are. You have 5 to 10 minutes to give this a shot. I guarantee you it will make a big difference.
Okay. Hopefully that wasn't too bad for you. My last little sales pitch, and then I'll wrap it up. Um, Honestly, am I a daily meditator right now? No. Should I be? Yes. Uh, in my life, when I have gone through really, really rough periods, um, meditation has made a gigantic difference in my level of peace. I can't even really explain. All I ever really did was 10 minutes a day. I never got more than 10 minutes a day. But I do it 10 minutes right away in the morning. And I was just a lot calmer, a lot less reactive to the things going on around me. It was really, really useful to me. I can just say that. And it really does only take 5 to 10 minutes a day. But meditation's a little bit like exercise, that you're not going to get like full benefit the first time you do it. Maybe you'll feel a little bit different or a little bit better. Maybe you won't feel anything. It's sort of one of those things that builds up over time, like exercise and getting in shape, you know? So if you're interested or willing to give it a try, for even really, if you even start with 5 minutes a day and then see if you can slowly build it up, if you just do it for a couple weeks and just see, and if you're like, meh, that doesn't do anything for me, then it's nothing lost, right? You lose 5 to 10 minutes a day. So it's worth a shot. It really is, especially when or if you get to a point in your life where you are really, really struggling, where it's really stressful and you're really feeling the impact on your mental health and your well-being. It's worth a shot. It's free, easy, doesn't take much time. So, and once again, don't be too hard on yourself. This time period is hard. We're all stressed and we're all anxious and we all feel awful. It's just all of us. And the nice thing is nobody's alone right now. You know, before the global pandemic, anybody with anxiety or depression would kind of feel like there was something wrong with them, that they were weird, or, you know, nobody else has it, nobody feels this way. Well, guess what? We all do now. So there's nothing to be ashamed of, nothing to not add to your stressing about being stressed. Okay. So do you guys have any questions? Otherwise, that's about what I have for you. 45 minutes later, I can let you guys get back to your lives. Does anybody have any questions that they need, or anything I can do for you? Okay. Well, thank you very much for letting me have part of your evening. I hope you have a great fall, and I hope everything stays open.